Hi, Tracy. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for coming on, taking the time to talk with us today.
Thank you for
And
having me.
yeah, absolutely. So, Tracy, can you share a bit of your medical background and what you do?
Sure. I'm a family nurse practitioner. I've owned my own practice for almost 5 years now. I left the traditional setting I'd been in for 8 years and just was kind of tired of the grind. And so I opened
Right.
up a direct primary care practice, and I'm also certified in functional medicine. So it's kind of a blend of Eastern and Western medication
Oh, wow. That's
treatment.
great.
Yeah.
And did you say you were a registered nurse
A
before?
nurse practitioner.
Nurse practitioner. That's
Yeah.
awesome. So that's great to
Yes.
have that background. First of all, what is your health condition?
So I was diagnosed with it's called pudendal neuralgia. So it's it's a pelvic nerve issue. A little over probably about 3 years ago. And it
Okay.
was just something that started kind of out of the clear blue. And I went down the whole road of seeing a gynecologist and then, imaging, and they wanted to do like creams and they wanted to put me on antidepressants. And I was like,
Wow.
this just didn't seem
Yeah.
right. So I ended up finding a pelvic floor therapist who um, she's definitely more holistic, and she helped me a lot, but it got to a point where it was just not moving any further,
Mhm.
and I was still having, a decent amount of pain. So then she had suggested that I see a provider in Massachusetts to do a nerve block. So you basically will have no um, the hope, I guess, or not hope. Um, you have
Yeah.
no feeling, you have no pelvic feeling at all.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's not
Yeah.
always good either. And then sometimes that can also not work and make the pain worse. So my husband went with me. We went down to the appointment and we met. She was very lovely, but
Yeah.
when we asked her what the success rate was, because she had said she's done thousands of these injections, um, she couldn't tell us. And I was like, well, that's kind of a little
Yeah.
odd. And it
Yeah.
didn't feel right to me. Like I've always been more of a holistic person, more of a holistic provider, and it just didn't feel right. And I was already so tired with the whole rat race of the
Mhm.
Western world, and no one could, you know, really help at all. Their answer was to just kind of like band-aid it.
Yeah.
I had one doctor say that he could do Botox in my pelvis, but he's never done it before. I'm
Oh,
like,
wow. That's pretty bold to say.
yeah, I mean, I'm glad he was upfront, but I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think so. That doesn't sound good to me.
Right.
So, yeah, and yeah, I would not ever inject a form of botulism in my body either. But anyways, so I left really kind of disheartened with that visit with the provider that was going to do a basically a nerve block and
Yeah.
see how I did. So at that point, I had already heard of Dr. Wu
Right.
from a patient of mine, and she had said it had taken months to get in to see him.
Right.
Uh, but I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm just gonna reach out. This was literally, it was like an 8 o'clock on a Monday evening after I'd had my appointment with this physician in Mass. And
Right.
I texted him and I explained my whole story to him. And I am not even kidding you. Within probably 60 seconds, he texted me back and said, "Can
Yeah.
you come in 2 days?" And makes me want to cry and
Oh,
see me. And I was like, this
amazing.
is it. This is like, it just felt so right. And I just knew then, I was like, he's gonna fix me. I just know he's gonna fix me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's
So
amazing. I mean, how many medical doctors text you that quickly,
I
and
know.
what did you say 60 seconds or 60?
I'm not even kidding you. It was 60 seconds. I
Yeah.
texted him. I went in the kitchen to get a glass of water. I came back and he had already responded. And I said to my husband, he already responded.
Yeah. I think he
Yeah.
really understands the pain of patients and
Yeah.
the patient journey of what they've been through. So I think he
Right.
understands how quickly they want to remedy because they are in such suffering, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't hear that
You
much.
don't. Yeah. And by the time I'd gotten to him, I mean, I had been dealing with this pain for well over a year at that point. By the time I went and finally got
Right,
to see Dr. Wu. Yeah,
right.
so I was all done with the pain at that
Yeah.
point.
So
Yeah.
what was he like when you visited him at his office?
So when we went in, first of all, when you walk through the door, like I just felt it felt so peaceful when you walk through that door.
Hmm.
And I looked at my husband, he's like, it is so peaceful in here.
Yeah.
And um he, you know, introduced himself, and actually Kathy was there too at the time. And he brought me into his little office, and he checked my pulses, did underneath my tongue, checked my tongue,
Hmm.
asked me some questions, and then we went into one of the treatment rooms. And yeah, and he did Tweena on me, which is that form of acupressure.
Yes.
And it was excruciating. I'm not even gonna, I think
Initially.
my body was so tight and so tired of pain
Yeah.
that I I think I was just kind of like, I was kind of shut down, and it
Mm.
hurt like heck. But I was like, nothing's worse than childbirth. So I kept
Right.
saying to
Yeah.
myself. And my husband, he's like, I honestly thought a couple times you were going to have to call it. And I was like, I was not calling it. I would have taken whatever he gave me, because I just knew in my heart and my soul, like this was where I needed to be. And I
Yeah.
knew he was going to fix me. And when I got up and I left there, I literally felt like my whole body was tingling. And
Yeah.
it was such an odd sensation. I don't even know if I could have driven home, because I felt so, yeah, I felt like it was just not somewhere different, but I just felt like my whole body was tingling. Like I just could feel like my whole body was like relaxing. And
Mhm.
so, um, the next day, I got up and I was just sore from like him, the tweener. But I have to tell you, I was probably 90% better without pain in my
That's
pelvis.
so amazing to hear.
It gives me the goosebumps every time, for
Yeah.
the first time in such a long time.
Yeah.
And I and then the following day it was like, I mean, it was pretty much gone. And so then I saw him again the following week, because I just felt like we needed to work a little bit more. And and then I did see him two more times, because I was worried it was going to come back, and I didn't want
Right.
it to come
Yeah.
back. And I saw him. I think I saw Kathy at one of the third time, and then I saw him the fourth time. And yeah, I mean, I didn't need them. I mean, those appointments, I just felt like, with the two appointments, it was 100% gone. And so now I basically just kind of go back as I call it my tune-ups. Because you can
Yeah.
trigger the time from.
So how many sessions total did you have Tweena, Tracy?
Oh, I mean, the pain was gone with the second session, but
Yeah.
I've probably had, mm, I don't know, maybe 10, but it's more because,
Right.
like, if I get it into a flare, and then he settles it back down, and the
Yeah.
flares happen. It's not because of something that it's not working. It's because,
Right.
like, I sit too much for my work, and I
Right.
try and stand. So it's totally me doing it. Um, and I probably could do Qigong, because he keeps telling me that I need to do that. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know yeah.
He gives you the whole regimen. But I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
that's pretty amazing. So you're saying after two sessions of Tweena, the entire pain, your pelvic pain was gone?
Gone,
Yeah.
gone.
I
Yeah.
mean, how do you, when a friend or someone asks you about that, I think people tend to be very skeptical of how is that even possible? Tweena, they see it in much more of a surface level of,
Yeah.
oh, it's just massage therapy. They don't realize, no, you're moving the chi, the energy,
Yes.
and you're moving the blood circulation. There's a whole science behind that.
Right.
So
Right.
what would you say to someone that, might look at you like, oh, really, Tracy? So everything's gone now in 2 sessions. I mean,
I know. So I will actually try and do some of it on them because I actually went through the training with
oh,
Dr.
wow,
Wu
you did.
afterwards to get certified in Tweena. So sometimes I'll just start working on them a little bit. And
That's
I do
awesome.
offer that for my patients now, but
Great.
I feel like I don't know, a lot of people are open to it. A lot of times I'll just say, let's just try it. And
Right.
people are open to it and and if they don't believe or
Yeah.
that's a that's on them.
Right. Right. No, I
Right?
understand. And
Yeah.
did you have other treatments besides Twina? Did you have herbal supplements or?
Yeah. So I did one herbal supplement. I think I did, it was so long ago. I think I did Tang for just one bottle of it. And it was more you know, I was asking of what else I could do to take. And so I did do that, but it really was the Tweena, but the herbs are great too. We've used the herbs for other things in our family. And,
Right.
and actually I went through the whole herbology program with
Oh,
Dr.
you
Wu.
did. Wow.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome. I finished that in January. So I do offer that for my patients now. And we use it in our house too. I mean,
Right.
yeah, it's these herbs. And the thing that's so amazing with these herbs, it's like Western medicine, we are treating a symptom, and these people get on these drugs and they're on them lifelong. We're not
Right.
treating the cause of it, where these Chinese herbs are treating the cause of the issue. And you put someone on them for maybe 2 months or a month, and then they don't need it anymore because we're actually getting to the root cause of it.
Right.
I really think people are becoming more open to Chinese herbs and even supplements, because if people are really wanting to take a hold of their health and really truly feel better, they'll do it. They'll find a way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, you kind of answered some of the questions that I had was especially coming from your medical career as a nurse practitioner and now being a TCM practitioner in integrative medicine as well. I was curious to see your journey of how you came to this, or if you've always been interested, or you just experienced enough to tell you through your patients and what you've
Yeah.
seen to lead you to this other direction. Can you share a bit of that journey and some realizations?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely always been more of a holistic person. And even, prior to being a nurse practitioner, I was a registered nurse, and I've definitely been more of that holistic, very health conscious. So, prior to even doing Chinese herbs, I was always involved with like Reiki and
All right.
oils and things like that. So this just, was more just to augment all of those things that I had kind of always loved anyways. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I feel like it's always kind of been like a little ingrained in me. Just,
Right.
you see that working that Western world,
Yes.
worked in the Western world for, well, my whole career up until, recently, um, where I kind of branched out on my own. You just see what Western medication does to people. You put
Yeah.
someone on one drug, and then you have to put them on another drug to get rid of the side effects from that drug. Whereas if
Yeah.
people can use herbs and Chinese herbs, you aren't doing that. Uh,
Right.
you're not ruining their kidneys, you're not ruining their liver. And I get that, you know, Western does have its own place for things,
Right.
but
Right.
I feel like on an overall whole,
Right.
you a lot you can herbs are the way to go.
Right.
Yeah, I've just seen so much benefit with
Yeah.
using them.
Were you just seeing too much of this repetition and cycle in the Western medicine with the opioid crisis, and you just
Yeah.
didn't see it moving along or moving the needle or helping any of these patients.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Like these people were not getting any better. And it doesn't
Yes.
even matter if it was their blood pressure or their diabetes. They weren't getting any better. They aren't any better. I mean, I don't remember what this, where we rank in the nation, but we are a very sick country.
I
And
agree.
it's crazy. I just heard a statistic. We it was like $50 trillion or something like that is spent on Western treatment, and 90% of it is used to combat chronic disease management. That's sad. Like that should not be at all, ever,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And yeah,
I
it's
agree.
we're a sick nation. And
Yeah. It's
our
like,
medicines aren't making us healthier. They're just patching people together. They're not getting
exactly.
to the root cause. Whereas these Chinese herbs and this acupressure and cupping and, gua sha and all of that, you're getting more to the root cause of these things. And people are living, they're healthier, and they don't have all those other side effects that come along with doing these other drugs,
Yeah.
Western drugs.
It's funny you said that because I interviewed another person and he mentioned, with the prescription industry, it's almost like they want to keep you alive, but you don't want you dead either because this is how they make the money
Yep.
is to keep
Yeah.
in between,
Yeah.
and it's why Tracey do you see or why is it that most people don't know about TCM in the mainstream?
I know. Um, I mean, I feel like a lot of practitioners sadly are they're science and they're
Based.
science based. They're very black and white.
Mhm.
And I think some of them are afraid to go outside of that Western realm. Either people don't, providers are either afraid of getting sued, they're
Mm,
afraid of losing their license. Um, some just plain ignorance because
right. Yeah, yeah.
they work.
Mhm.
Um, and they're just not thinking outside the box. I mean, I definitely have plenty of, prior colleagues that definitely would never even think to offer someone an herb or a simple vitamin other than a multivitamin because they are so into that Western education that they learned.
Yeah.
And the thing that's sad is it's if more providers don't start going down other avenues to learn about Eastern medication and TCM, it's going to become a lost art, and that's really sad. It's really a disservice to people.
Yeah. And this is probably why the healthcare crisis continues, is there's got to be some major shifts and changes in this
Yep.
and offering
Yep, for
alternative
sure.
methods.
Right.
Um, do you find that Western medicine can supplement Eastern, or do you think it's either or how do you see the pros and cons of each?
I absolutely think you can do a blend
Right,
of both.
right.
I know, there are obviously some things that will interact with each other, so you have to be careful with those
Right,
things. A lot of times
right.
I'll go to Dr. Wu and
Yeah,
ask. I'm like, hey, can we
yeah,
add this? Most of the time, I feel like a lot of times it's okay. But yeah, they definitely can augment each other.
yeah,
Um, I don't really feel there's a lot of cons to the Chinese herbs.
right.
I feel like they're really safe. I feel
Yeah,
like there could be a lot of cons to the Western medication. I mean, I'm
right,
not trying to like keep bashing it because
right.
I
No,
do,
no, no. We're just
yeah, I mean, I
having a
do
conversation.
prescribe.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I always
yeah,
try to use my herbs first, use my supplements first before I prescribe as long as I feel like because I am licensed by the board of nursing. So I
right,
do always have to kind of walk a little bit of that,
right,
fine line so I'm not sued.
right.
there's definitely more cons with the Western drugs. It's like
Yeah,
people, I mean,
yeah. The
there's some
side
pretty high
effects. Yeah,
statistics of the adverse effects of, things happening and causing and having harm caused to them. I mean, it's not intentional harm, but
right,
some of the drugs can do.
right.
How many times do we, I know for myself, I can't say that I've ever seen any of my patients go to the emergency room because they took too many supplements or they took, the herbs.
Right.
I know. And it's like, yeah, I just
Yeah,
can't, I've seen that where I have with, obviously, and there's probably more people that use Western
yeah.
medication and herbs, but so
Yeah, I think, I mean, the way I see is I think Western medicine's excellent for emergency situations like
yes.
surgery or
Mhm.
ER where you
Mhm.
need diagnostics quickly to see what's going
Yes.
on. But it just sounds like long-term wise, as far as building, sustaining your health and
Mhm.
nurturing your health, definitely Eastern medicine and TCM is a way to go because you're looking at the longevity and using natural properties like the herbs to heal your
Right.
own body. I mean, how is it that everyone fits in the same model? I never got that. Is like, you give me a prescription, it's supposed to fit every person. Everybody's body chemistry is different. Everybody's reactions to it is going to be different. So it just, I've always wondered about that also. But I definitely see I've experienced Tweena and cupping before, and I love Tweena personally. I just you feel like your whole body's recalibrating itself and kind of releasing any toxins in your body. And I mean, I feel a lot lighter the next
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
It just feels like you got a really good sleep. And I felt like a lot of toxins got released through Tweena.
Released. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. My son had COVID. I
Hmm.
think it's probably, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he it was like a Thursday and he came in the house and to pick his dog up and I think I don't feel great. And I was like, oh, great, here we go. Well,
Yeah.
anyways, he ended up taking a test. It was like that night he tested positive for COVID. He went home and he felt terrible. And I sent him a text and I said, why don't you come Friday morning? I said, and we'll do cupping and we'll do gua sha on you.
Yeah.
So he did. And he was pretty sick. He had a pretty high fever and whatnot, felt pretty crummy. And I did cupping and gua sha on his back. The only areas that lit up on his back were actually his entire lung fields on his
Oh,
back. And I felt
wow.
that. Yeah, they were like black,
Wow.
like dark purple marks. And then the gua sha
Wow.
was that. And then the next morning, he pretty much had no symptoms. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
I
that is
heard,
impressive.
yeah, that is very impressive.
Yeah.
I heard that with the cupping, the dark blue,
Yeah.
black, purple,
Yeah.
that means the toxins are surfacing up to
Right. Pulling
itself,
out.
right? And
Yeah.
the better. And if
Yeah.
light, it means you're somewhat healthy, I guess.
Right, right, right. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
No, you're exactly right. And it was just so crazy the way his entire lung fields were just,
that's
you could
crazy.
tell that was where and
Yeah.
I did the lower back too, and there was not one issue in the lower back. I was like, this is really impressive.
I mean, it
And
kind
to
of
see
just
the
shows.
turnaround within, he was pretty sick for,
Yeah.
that 24-ish hours.
Yeah.
Feel like if we didn't do that on him, I really truly feel he would have been sick probably for the good week that it was lasting in people for that particular strain that was out. Yeah.
Wow. That's
Mhm.
incredible. And just
Mhm.
to be able to see the effects of it that quickly through the
Yeah.
cupping.
Yeah.
Um, what do you think about the spiritual component of Taoism and TCM? Do you feel
Yeah.
with Qigong and Tai Chi that's a really critical element in taking care of your health? And is that something that you also practice?
So, I'm trying to do the the Qigong and the Tai Chi. I
Yeah.
know. Dr. Wu tells me every time you need to do it. I do try and do it. I definitely don't do it as much as I should, but I will say I have found when I am able to devote that time, it definitely I feel a lot more grounded.
Right.
I definitely believe in Taoism. Like I for 100% for sure. I think those two are definitely go hand in hand. Well, three, the
Right.
Qigong, Qi, and um, but yes, I think it's an important part because I think it's one of those other self-care
Hmm.
treatment things we can do for ourselves. Because let's face it, how many of us don't do enough self-care? We just don't. And then
Right.
we don't feel well, we don't sleep well, we don't eat well. I mean, the
Mhm.
our biggest thing that we could give ourselves is truly doing self-care,
Yeah.
which people don't do enough of. And I think that's where you see a lot of times diseases come in and
Right.
or illnesses, and it's all because it's just a lack of self-care. And we could do these simple things like Qigong and Tai Chi. I think you would see your body be in more of
Right.
that state of like that homeostasis, that state of balance.
Yeah. Dr. Wu, he says this funny line all the time. He goes, Americans are running on Dunkin' Donuts. And I didn't even know what he was saying before. I said, did he
Yeah.
just say Dunkin' Donuts? So
I
his
love
his
it.
analogy is, our society, our modern society is running so fast. We don't slow down. We're constantly on schedule, busy, 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 and we're stressed out of mind. So then the stress is creating the ailments in our body.
Yeah.
And it's funny you said that is like, I think that's just modern society now. We're not used to taking that time out to do the qigong, the breathing, the meditation. And,
Right.
I think that pause in your day and the day of what you're doing, it just kind of resets you, I feel, when
I
you do
agree.
Tai Chi and meditation, oh, qigong or meditation.
Yeah.
Um, how come Western medicine does not really talk about, the spiritual component or the self-healing? They don't really go into any of it.
No, I don't know. I feel like
Yeah,
I mean, I definitely do with, my patients if
right.
they're looking for it. I think some of it's a lack of time, they, when I was in traditional setting, I would see anywhere from 15 to 17 patients in a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a lot.
you unfortunately can't. I think sometimes it's just a matter of some of them probably would want to, but
Right.
they can't because you have an insurance company saying, these things need to be checked, these things need to be done, or you have the higher ups in these institutions saying you
Right.
need to see this many patients. And I will say, like the educational system and a lot of our degrees, they don't go into
They don't.
nutrition
Yeah.
like they
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
You get, sometimes you're lucky if you get a couple of lectures, and that's where a lot of,
It
right
seems like there's
goes,
a cutoff, right?
yeah,
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 in the
yeah,
knowledge. Yeah.
yeah, and it just goes back to failing. We're failing people, patients, by not going back to your roots and sticking with your basics: sleep,
Right.
care, self-love, nutrition, exercise, those things. And it's
Right.
like we're a very reactive, and it's like, oh well, you're close to having diabetes, and well, we'll just treat you now for it, instead of educating that person
Yeah.
and saying, you need to make these
That's
changes,
a
or
great
yeah,
point. Yeah. They don't educate you. They just throw you some
yeah.
pills. I'm curious to know, what have you learned the most from Dr. Wu, working with him and, studying with him?
Mm.
What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned from him?
Oh boy, that's a good.
Just
I
one.
know. I know. Honestly, I think it's more um making time to like do the things that I need to do for my body.
Mhm.
Because I wasn't, I would try, but I really wasn't. And I think that's a lot of the reasons why I ended up in that whole situation with that
Pelvic
pelvic
pain.
nerve thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't an injury that,
Right.
sometimes can cause that. It was sitting at a damn desk for too many hours and working too many hours. So I think one
Yeah.
big thing he taught me was like, taking time and like sitting back and like, you know, doing things for myself to, keep my body healthy.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. He definitely tells you to take those little pauses, you know,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
water, what is it?
Yeah.
I'm air,
I'm,
I'm water
I'm
flow, I forget the third one.
yeah, I'm air, I'm light, I'm water flow, I think.
Yeah, I'm air. I forgot he's gonna, anyways.
I know we're both gonna be in trouble for
I
that
know
one.
we're gonna have to remember the third line.
I'm
Um,
air, I'm light, I'm water flow, I think
I'm
is
light. Oh my gosh, how could I
yeah.
forget that one? So yeah,
Yeah.
those three. And
Yeah.
but the whole meaning, significance behind those is exactly that, is to tune in with
Yeah.
nature, tune in
Pause.
with yourselves, and to
Yeah.
pause. And so we're coming to a close of the interview. Do you have any last words for Dr. Wu, words of gratitude?
Oh, I know. I have so much gratitude for him. I mean, honestly, he really changed my life. I mean,
Yeah,
he's an amazing man, and I appreciate him so much and what he's done for me and what he does for people. I mean, he is an amazing human being, and I don't think I've ever met anyone in my life as genuine as he is.
that's
He's great.
wonderful. Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we will leave the captions and the website URL in the details. Thanks so much,
All
Tracy.
right. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. All right. Take care. Bye bye.